Good day, good people. How are you? I hope everybody is doing well and living a prosperous life. I just needed to reach out because people are acting as if the sky is falling over this new 50-year mortgage loan product. They're saying it's just a potential product, but people are acting as if it is going to destroy people financially and it's the worst thing that has ever happened. As a person who can speak definitively on this, why? Because I've been lending since 2001. I'm here to tell you a couple of things. Number one, the 50-year mortgage is just a loan product. What do I mean by that? Well, when you go to the bank and you have checking accounts, savings accounts, you have bonds, you have stocks you could buy, you have ETFs, they're all financial products. The real thing is having the right advisor to put you in the right product for the right situation. It is not the product that itself that is good or bad. And when you put the right person in the wrong product, you get a bad result. So let's look at this 50-year mortgage. Now, the first thing is, most people's commentary on the 50-year mortgages, oh my God, well, even though if a person goes from a 30-year mortgage option to a 50-year mortgage option, even though the payment will be $200 or $300 less, the interest paid over 50 years will be hundreds of thousands of dollars more. That is 100% true. The only thing is, if you look up the statistical data, you will see what the average lifetime of a mortgage generally is. So most people don't stay in the same financing for more than 7 to 10 years. Why, do you ask? Well, if interest rates go down, they refinance to a different interest rate so they can pay less interest on the money that they still owe. So that always has the potential to happen. Number two, people sell property because they may have started with the starter home or intermediate home and their finances change as the decades change. They get deeper in their career, their salary gets higher, and they decide to move to a bigger home. And so they sell that home and that ends that mortgage. And so our actual mortgage behavior would say to you, hey, if I'm not going to keep this home and pay it off, if that is not my intention, then having the lowest payment possible would probably be my best option. Number two, just because you have a 50-year mortgage, it does not mean that you have to take 50 years to pay it off. And I use for that as an example, all the people that have 30-year mortgages. This used to be a big debate amongst clients where they would say to me, well, my income is this, and I think I should get the 15-year mortgage as opposed to the 30. That way I can pay it off faster. And I said, this is what I want you to consider. I want you to consider if you ever fell on hard times and lost your job and were out of work for 6 months to a year, which payment would you like to be obligated to pay? The payment of the 30-year or the payment of the 15-year? And the reason why I say that is, if you study bankruptcies, what you will learn is that most people declare bankruptcy because of they can't come up with an extra $300 for bills. Okay. So in essence, what I want you to understand is you need to make sure that you think about keeping your obligation, the number that you have to pay, as low as possible. And if you want to pay over that number, that money will go all toward principal. So if I have the choice between a $2,000 payment and a $2,500 payment, let me obligate myself to the $2,000 payment and pay $2,500 because I have the resources at the time. And that $500 can go all to principal, chopping down that principal quicker. And actually, when I'm done paying, I'm done paying. So there are many people who decide to pay off their houses that they have 30-year mortgages, but they were done paying at 18 years. They were done paying at 21 years. I've never seen, honestly, in my entire career from 2001 to now 2025, I've never seen a person make 360 payments on a mortgage. I just never have. And thousands of clients. So the 50-year loan product, yes, it will cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars more should you literally pay all of those payments for 50 years. Most people are not going to do that. Those who want to pay off their home as their salaries increase, they'll accelerate the extra money that they pay toward principal because they're getting 100% value for that. But they're keeping their obligation low. Those who have no intention of paying off the house or staying in it are going to pay as little as possible toward the house so that when they sell it, whatever equity they've gained, they will take that equity and they will move on to the next property. So I want people to understand that this is a much more nuanced argument. People are talking about, oh, it's a trap. They're trying to trap you in the mortgage for a long time and all this. It's a loan product. That's all. You know, you can get a 5-year mortgage. You can get a 10-year mortgage. You can get a 20-year mortgage. You can get a 30-year mortgage. You can get a 50-year mortgage. It really has to do with what your financial plans are. And so what I want us to do is before we start having these esoteric conversations and start adding up the payment times 50 years and, you know, sending ourselves into a panic and all these things, ask the question, look at your own behavior. Look at the behavior of people around you. Ask somebody who lives in a paid off house, how long their mortgage was for and how long they took to pay it off. I would bet you that you got a 95% chance of anybody you know that lives in a paid off home, they took less than the loan term to pay that house off. There is nothing that prevents you from paying toward the principal on a property. It's a debate as to whether or not that's a good idea, but it depends on what your financial picture is and what it is you are trying to accomplish. So don't get caught up in the hyperbole of this conversation and just thinking, oh, somebody's going to be paying for this house forever, because most people wouldn't do that. I bet for the people that are listening to this, you wouldn't do that. Maybe there were people who, when they first got their first house, they may have been making $60,000 a year. They still live in that same house, but now 15 years has gone by, and now they're making $120,000 a year. And so they make extra payments toward the principal to chop it down. People do that all the time. It is natural behavior. You made the decision that you made 10, 15 years ago based on what your income was then. You're making a different decision now, and you can control and manipulate how quickly you can pay any loan off, a car loan, credit cards, or a home loan. The question is the safest path for you keeping your monthly obligation as low as possible? The last thing I want everybody to consider is the thing that people really should be aware of is this. If the 50-year mortgages get instituted, you can absolutely positively guarantee that home prices will go up much quicker. Why do I say that? Well, imagine that based on your current salary and income and qualifying for a mortgage, the max that you qualify for is a $300,000 mortgage. And now there's 50-year mortgages, and so now you qualify for $350,000. The market is going to be pushing the price on houses. People want to get as much as they can get for what they're selling. And because of the 50-year mortgage giving a lower payment, those housing prices are going to creep up from $300,000 to $330,000 to $350,000. From the ones that are $350,000 are going to creep up to $375,000 and $400,000. That's just the nature of things. If you remember, just before the pandemic and during the pandemic, when interest rates dropped into the twos, there was this rush to the market, right? Well, the rush to the market where people could now qualify for more house, one of the side effects of that is that housing prices then went up because people pushed what they were asking for their houses. Be very aware of this. When that 50-year mortgage becomes a product that people can use within 6 to 12 months of that, housing prices will increase. If you add to that interest rates coming down and the 50-year mortgage, housing prices will really accelerate. So just be aware of that. That's a conversation in terms of finance that we should be having, because it is important to understand what will drive the market and what will drive price. And I dare say that that house that goes up from 400 to 450 or 450 to 500 because interest rates went down and there were an abundance of 50-year mortgages in the marketplace. That's something that is going to happen. There's nothing that any of us can really do about that. But it is something that we absolutely should be aware of. And for investors who are going to use the 50-year mortgage to create more cash flow, just manage that cash flow and the extra money that you're making, put it into a good investment that continues to make you more money. This may be an opportunity for some people. It may be an albatross around the neck of some other people. But what I can mostly promise is that there's going to be very few people planning on making 50 years of mortgage payment as their lifetime plan. Your circumstances over the course of every 10 years or so, your economic circumstances generally change, and generally change for the better for most people. So, that's what I have to say about that. I'm not trying to poo-poo anything that anyone has said, but I think that they're defining it in terms that really don't exist. Most people do not keep the same financing more than 10 years because they either move or they move up or they make some other, or they, make some other move. And so whether the mortgage loan term is 30 years or 50 years, nothing prevents you from paying your mortgage down faster. And just a little tip, most people don't know this. If you take the average 30-year mortgage, if you make one extra mortgage payment a year toward principal, that is going to cut 8 years off of your mortgage and turn a 30-year mortgage into a 22-year mortgage. Just a little food for thought. Most people don't know that, but that's why people make extra mortgage payments, accelerate their principal pay down, and pay their houses off faster. So listen, have a fantastic day. Thank you for listening. It was beautiful to talk with you. And don't be afraid of mortgage products. Take care. Bye-bye.